What happened?
That'll be that next generation that will live forever.
Did we just cut?
We cut. We're back. We had somebody that was commenting, and we were commenting back, and my Microsoft computer did not like the comment.
Ooh, maybe we're
being monitored and hacked. So,
I mean, did you click on a window or something?
Nope.
Or it just stopped.
Yep.
Well, that's goofy.
It said plug-in not working.
So this is part 2.
Part due, if you will. But we were talking about the
right, how the left call the right Hitler,
right,
and the right has nothing to ever call the left, and we were suggesting to call them Stalinist, Mao, or Lenin.
Right. And so my whole theory is, though, and this isn't my theory. This is taken from reading the Bible, knowing what Christians believe, and then seeing what Marxists and these atheists believe and want. And when somebody says to you, we have a way to keep you alive forever on Earth, or at least to live 5, 6, 7, 8, 900 years.
Vampires?
Yeah. I mean, not only would I love it. I love being here. I love my kids and my wife, and everything's grandioso and stuff. But this ain't it. Being here on this earth is not the end-all, be-all. This ain't the bee's knees.
Well, the atheists would absolutely say that. And they would justify it by saying... they would attack Christianity as saying, well, you're not caring enough for your life and the world and everything on it because you don't put this as a priority. You put this, what they would call this imaginary second life of heaven on a pedestal and higher than life itself. And thus, you're a problem. That's what atheists believe.
In the pastor that we have now, it's amazing some of the ideas that he has that he obviously shares on Sundays. And one of his ideas that he talks about, and I don't know how much the Bible lends credit to it, or if it's just something he came up with, but. He talks about how heaven on earth, when God comes back, he'll take over the earth, and that all of us that believe in him will be able to live on this earth completely free of all evils.
Okay. So it would be like heaven on earth.
Right. You never have to eat. You never have to use the bathroom. You never get a pain. You never get sick.
It'd be like Garden of Eden.
On earth.
Okay.
And the earth is your playground, if you will, to do and go and see and spend and hang out and do whatever you want.
Okay.
Interesting. It's fascinating.
It sounds like heaven, except you're not in heaven.
Right.
You're on earth.
Correct. Well, maybe there's a shuttle that'll take you back and forth and you just hang out.
I would hope. Wouldn't that be a letdown? All this time you're talking about going to heaven one day. Then all of a sudden God shows up and be like, yeah, we're not going up there. We're going to go ahead and stay down here. Oh, what happened? Well, the creditors called. And oh, man.
Wow.
Woo! I came home one day and there was a big yellow paper on one of those orange neon pink whatever signs on the door on the pearly gates.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Repo man,
something. Yeah,
foreclosure. What?
I tried to fight him on it,
but God.
Well, that's okay. We got Earth now. We got this, man. Let me get rid of all the evil real quick. Hey. This is just as good.
It's because we're gonna make heaven on earth.
We're gonna make it happen.
Heaven will be on earth.
Oh, I'm probably gonna go to hell.
Well, but if you no, because I want to honestly believe that God has the greatest sense of humor.
Oh yeah, he'll be like, "Oh, remember that bit you did?" I'll be like, "Oh yeah."
No, Ben,
Yeah.
I didn't.
No, what? Yeah.
What?
No, dude, that was funny, man. That was funny. I hopefully that's the case.
Well, of course.
He's got to have a sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. But if you think about it, all the things that I've ever wanted to do, whether it be, I mean, you could instant space travel, you can instant go here, you can instant go there, you can explore the universe, you can explore anywhere and everywhere at any given time, at any given second, with anybody at any sector. I mean, it would be the whole thing enchilada. So no, I don't want to live here on Earth in this shell for 1,000 years, because in my mind,
At some point, you're going to be like, all right, already. I seen that.
that would be prison. In my mind, eventually
probably.
it would be prison.
Eventually, yeah.
Well, look at Interview with a Vampire. By the end of the movie, you were like, "Oh Lord, they are trapped
Yeah.
in hell."
Yeah, there. And you know, my priest that got me into, baptized me, he said that there is no hell, that hell is just the absence of God.
When if you think about it, and you know, that
if you-
might have been hard for people 2,000, 3,000 years ago when the Bible was written. It may have been hard for them to grasp the concept of hell or the absence of God. Mm-hmm. So in order to let them know what the absence of God is, they may have painted a picture. I'm just speculating here. However, there's light and there's darkness. And to be put into darkness, which is the absence of
Light?
everything.
Okay.
Yeah. In order to make dark, black, light, you have to remove all the colors of the rainbow. All of them are gone. To make white light, you add all the colors together and you get white.
Okay.
So when you remove and you have the absence of all light, you've got eternal darkness. I don't know if you could imagine that, but if you've ever been in a situation, we went spelunking in Boy Scouts in the caves, Mammoth Caves down in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. And at one point in time, as we were down in the cave, the leader, the guy who was the spelunker guy,
The instructor.
yeah, told everybody, said, "Everybody, I want you to experience something that you've never experienced before in your life." It's absolutely.
I don't like where this is going.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't. He wasn't
Ew.
he wasn't the camp counselor. I mean, one time at church camp.
Oh, wow. Okay.
No, he had us turn all our lights off.
I still don't like where this is going.
No, it was just to experience absolute darkness.
Because you don't get this experience that very often, the darkness of Mammoth Cave with all the lights off.
Oh, it was so...
Not a shred of light coming from anywhere.
It was so empty. Like, I felt empty inside.
I actually went through that, and I remember them turning all the lights off, and I remember feeling claustrophobic suddenly. I mean, we were in a huge room.
That's amazing.
Big, giant. It was big enough for all of us, and there was like other areas, all in the area that we were in. I mean, it was a big, giant part of the cave, and they were able to just turn the lights off, like with a switch.
Right.
And it felt like the blackness was closing in on you. Like there was no more space around you. You were just almost inside yourself.
What if those lights never came back on?
Like,
There's
guys, well, we're having I think it blew a fuse or
Fuse.
something. Everybody calm down.
I guess
They would have had a flashlight.
They'd have the ability. Well, I don't know back then, but
Well,
you would think they'd have
bust
an
out
ability to
torch.
radio back up and say, "Hey,
No.
flip the switch."
They would have to have a landline down there somewhere.
That's scary. That's scary knowing
Oh,
that
it
all those
could've-
went out and might not come back on.
Well, you know those lights, is it metal halide or something like that?
Right.
Where if they're warm, you got to let them cool all the way down.
Oh, before you flip them back on
They
again.
won't really come on. I mean, there's maybe a tiny
They
glow.
kind of glow slightly, but they
Really
don't.
slightly.
Yeah, but they don't turn on.
Well, you would at least be able to see a little bit from the glow.
Or if it was the fluorescent tubes, and when you flipped it back on, that was the one time that, you know what, we're done. Flicker, flicker, flicker off.
Oh, yeah. But
You know, in
They
your
would all
grandma's
have to do that.
bathroom, where you flip the light on and they would flicker a little bit,
what
never
if that
really
part
come on.
of the cave was haunted? And it was like a horror film. And, oh, man, we need to make that. Copyright.
Feeling it.
Copyright SmithRadio.com because we are making a movie.
There's a guy there was a teacher who was really good. The only teacher I've ever had in my entire life that I give massive amounts of credit to is a math teacher. He was a Christian, and he made no bones about it to the class. But he tried to get us interested in reading, and he said there's a movie that couldn't be made, and it's a book that he just finished reading, and he said it would have been 30 minutes in the movie that this guy was in a cave in pure darkness trying to find his way out.
And they...
No, you couldn't make a movie
Yeah,
about
you couldn't.
that. Right. But reading the book and the way that he went into details about the book and the story,
That's the only way you could tell that story is through a book or verbally. You could never make a movie about it. It wouldn't make any sense. It would okay, I'm watching this guy, or maybe just the whole screen's black the whole time.
It would be like back in the late 70s or mid 70s when they found a way to make Dukes of Hazzard episodes at night by filming during the day.
Oh, they made night scenes.
Correct.
But you know that technique. I know what you're about to say.
They put a filter
What was
over the camera to make it look dark.
It was like really, really dark sunglasses.
Correct.
Put it over the lens.
Because you could see people running around. It must have been a full moon out because everybody had a shadow.
Everybody has shadow. Oh, by the way, let me
People
tell
were
you
getting
something.
sunburned at night.
They were putting on sunblock. They were wearing sunglasses. No, that technique was older than the Dukes of Hazzard, though. Even though they did do it in Dukes of Hazzard, they
They did it so poorly, though.
Yeah, well,
I think it would work in black and white film a lot better
They did it in
than colored film. When you do colored doesn't work.
yeah, because it just there's well, you know why? Because you lose a lot of color in real life at night when you're
Right.
when your eyes dilate and you bring in a lot more light. The receptors in your eye that pick up the really dark light are black and white.
Right, because
That's why you lose so much color at night when you're trying to see.
Right.
Because the receptors that are picking them up in your eye are not good with color. But yeah, there's movies from the 50s that I've seen where they tried to do night scenes and they do the same thing. They just put a really dark filter lens, but they film during the day.
right.
And it doesn't work when there's shadows all over the place.
No.
But speaking of which, this is just a little side note. When I was on guard duty in 29 Stumps,
29 Palms.
yeah, 29 Palms,
I've been through there.
yeah,
It's scary.
yeah, because there's no towns within about 500 miles in every direction, so there's no light in the sky, man-made light. There's no man-made light that is polluting the sky.
Correct.
So at nighttime, complete blackness except for stars and the moon. When the moon is out, which is about 25 days out of the month, because there's only a couple days where you have that new moon.
Yeah, which is just about a week.
Yeah, a very short period of time and before you start to see sliver. But anyway, when there's a moon out, especially full moon especially, it casts a really obvious shadow in 29 Palms.
Right, when you're walking down the street in a full moon, you will have a shadow.
Yeah, a major.
Right.
Now, if you live in the city, you'll never see that.
No.
You will never. It could be a full moon, not a cloud in the sky. Very unlikely that moon's going to cast a shadow unless you're in like perfect conditions, like between two buildings with no windows, and the moon somehow gets between there. Maybe you'll see a
Yeah.
shadow then. But in 29 Palms, it looks like those ridiculous scenes that they do in Dukes of Hazzard at night.
Right.
There's like a major shadow, but that's just a little side note. I thought I'd throw that out there.
So move into the light.
Move into the light.
Move towards the light. You don't want to be in the darkness.
Oh, philosophically.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
So hey, I ran across a couple of sound bites that kind of really tipped me off at how bad this Iran nuclear deal is.
Okay.
John Boehner and Lindsey Graham weighed in.
Oh, the two most left-wing turncoat traitors of the Constitution that I know. And by traitor, I mean it's dishonest to come out and say, we're Republicans, which means you should think of us as conservatives, which means you should think of us as pro-Constitution.
Right.
Civil rights as far as the Bill of Rights, we're pro Bill of Rights, all that kind of stuff. But no, they're not. They're traitors because and they're dishonest because they lead you to believe that, but in fact it's the opposite.
And so here's what Boehner had to say about the nuclear deal.
On Iran, given everything I've seen so far, this is a bad deal. It paves the way for a nuclear Iran, and yesterday the president admitted that it will likely further Iran's support for terror activities throughout the region. It blows my mind that the administration would agree to lift the arms and missile bans and sanctions on a general who supplied militants with weapons to kill Americans. President Obama says it's this deal or war. Well, that's a false choice. The sanctions were working and bringing Iran to its knees. We're going to continue to review this, but we're going to fight a bad deal that's wrong for our national security and wrong for our country.
Well, I'm glad he jogged my memory on something I wanted to say on this show. I'm glad to hear that he thinks it's a bad deal.
Well, the arms and missiles has been lifted,
which is
I don't get that. I don't understand why that'd be lifted.
Him saying it blows his mind is actually a very large understatement. It is if you're playing a game of chess,
right,
and you got to think several moves ahead, and you have to make logical choices like, man, if I go this way, he's going to counterattack with this. It's just a game of chess, a battle of wits, of the mind, and you have to think of these things.
Dim-witted minds.
Explain to me how a nuclear deal that's going to basically, you got to look at things from the big perspective. We don't want Iran to have nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons. How are nuclear weapons deployed?
Missile.
Okay, missiles.
Briefcase.
Can you use nukes or nuclear power for something other than a weapon?
Electricity.
Okay, so is there any other reason why we would allow them to have nuclear power other than to create electricity?
No, none.
So why do we need to A, lift bans on weapons, and B, lift bans on missiles? What is that?
Because they told Obama, if you don't lift these, we're not signing the deal.
And then I would have said, how about those 4 hostages?
Oh, we'll get to them.
And then I would have said, well, wait a minute. If you're really just doing this for the nuclear power, why are you insisting that we lift bans on missiles and weapons? How does he not walk away from the table on this?
Well, it's funny you ask because Lindsey Graham weighed in.
Oh, good. Okay.
And Lindsey Graham, that's a man.
Well, my name's Carrie, so let's not go down that road. Let's not go down that road.
This bill, you've ensured that every Sunni Arab nation who can get a nuclear weapon will, because now they must. The goal President Obama set out, I shared, to dismantle their program, to neuter their program, to give them a nuclear capability consistent with a peaceful power program, to require them to change their behavior before you gave them weapons or a nuclear capability. The goal has not been achieved. With this deal, you've ensured that the Arabs will go nuclear. You have put Israel in the worst possible box. This will be a death sentence over time for Israel if they don't push back. You put our nation at risk. Every goal the president expressed 2 years ago has absolutely not been met, and you put the arms embargo on the table at a time when they're destroying the Mideast through their conventional weapons program. You may think this is a good deal. This is a terrible deal. is going to make everything worse, and I really fear that we've set in motion a decade of chaos.
A decade? Is he nuts? How long did the Cold War go on for? This is not going to be Cold War II.
I think what he meant, and I'm not I would never defend Lindsey Grahamnesty, ever. However, what I think he meant was that this decade of chaos is the decade leading up to after 10 years, then it's free game for anybody. This deal is only a 10-year-long deal.
Right, and what we're left with is a very wealthy Iran who really doesn't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything. And it's like Lindsey Grahamnesty just said, it's going to force all the other countries in the area to go into a nuclear arms race.
Well, who else would get nukes when Iran gets nukes? Instantly.
Anybody who's a little bit concerned about what the leaders of Iran would do are going to try to nuke up.
Who would ally with Iran and be cool and be down with them and share the power or share the nuclear weapons? It'd be North Korea.
Oh.
North Korea is so hell-bent on being buddy-buddy, chummy-chummy with Iran and getting whatever they can get from them. Whatever North Korea gets, they give to Iran. Whatever Iran gets, they give to North Korea.
Right.
They're down with the same cause.
Okay. I mean,
that ain't no good for South Korea, that is a peaceful, peace-loving nation that is so super wealthy compared to North Korea because they live in a free market capitalist type situation. They enjoy the fruits of their labor in South Korea.
And you know the thing about our current president is if North Korea just decided, all right, we're coming across the DMZ and we're just going to go ahead and take over South Korea.
Right.
Let's play chicken. I mean,
Obama's
not going to do anything.
You call this president's bluff, and he bluffs every single time. You can't.
He folds. You mean
he folds on his because every time he always bluffs. And then he folds instantly.
Yeah, because everybody's calling him now. They're like, well, we know he's bluffing, and we know that he's going to fold.
Right.
So, honestly, Kim Jong-un could literally say, all right, send the military down, and it would go down every single military base in South Korea if they could. I mean, they wouldn't be ready. They wouldn't be seeing that coming.
No.
I mean, the CIA, FBI, and all that can't even keep track of lone wolves, quote unquote, on our own soil. If North Korea suited up and said, let's go, they're all going to be sitting there completely unprepared. What'll happen is each and every city in South Korea is going to be Benghazi revisited.
Oh.
And while they're screaming for backup, it's just not going to come. And there'll be rescue operations, and I don't think every person would die, but they'll all go hightailing out of there like Saigon in Vietnam. And then afterwards, the journalists are going to try to defend them. South Korea will be gone. And I'm not saying that's on the table. I'm saying that if he decided to do that, that's how it would go down.
Right.
It would go down with South Korea going out like the city of Benghazi. And that would be it.
What is the deal with the news media? What is the deal with them and continual defense and propping up this regime, this
Obama?
puppet regime?
Obama?
Yeah.
Oh, well,
what are they getting? How do they? Because it's all about the money. How do they financially benefit? How does CNN, a pathetic, withering away, MSNBC, a pathetic, withering away, making no money, continue to watch Fox News make money hand over fist? And Fox News.
I think you're making a mistake by assuming it's always about the money. It's always about the money. A lot of times it's about the money, but when you can't attribute it to money, I mean, there's money changing hands somewhere, but I think that if you look at the founding and the beginning of this show, Smith Radio, what finally got us to say, we were not like, oh, we're going to be rich and famous one day.
No,
We did it. We did it because we're like, somebody's got to fight back. Somebody's got to save America. Somebody's got to expose what's really going on that's bad, and promote and support and talk about and try to encourage things that are going, that A, caused America to be what it is today, and B, maybe save it and restore it back to what it should have been from day one. And that's why we do this. If somebody listening to us right now is like, well, the reason they're talking, follow the money. Well,
I looked at you when we decided to do Smith Radio. I opened up the Google and I said, what are the top 10 money-making schemes to get rich instantly? And you know what? Starting your own talk show radio from a bunker was number one.
No way. Tongue-in-cheek jokes here. Jokes.
So I find it really difficult to understand.
Well, my point was going to be
Right.
that,
Okay, sorry.
I mean, there's people out there that are really, just like us. They want to see a better world. They want to hand down a better world to their children. And unfortunately, either due to a lack of intellect or a complete lack of I shouldn't say lack of, but a thorough and complete devastation of one's brain due to brainwashing through the propaganda of the communism, growing up through the education system, which has been completely infiltrated by communists.
Correct.
Who are propagandizing our children to grow up to be communists. You get to a certain age where if you can't come back from that and you don't have the mental strength to say, wait a minute, I don't know if this is making sense. Maybe there's something else, and having the courage to go down that rabbit hole and finding out about all this. I mean, they probably think that the best way to make a better world is to implement all these government social programs. They've been taught that the way to solve problems is through the government. And so they're just supporting that. And then there's the third way.
They're like the fly in the window that thinks it can get through.
Well, then there's the big corruption way. This may actually, you want to follow the money, this is where the money really falls. If you believe that the way to have the world in your fingertips is to have power, then you've got to look at what communism has been able to accomplish for people, just ordinary everyday citizens who they want power, but they don't have that strength of the Genghis Khan or of Adolf Hitler or Lenin, Stalin, whatever. What they look at it is what socialism and communism is in America is a system put in place so that you can, as an average, normal, everyday citizen, rise through the ranks and have the power of the communism at your fingertips, which is oppression of the people, power over people, being able to dictate rules over people. And so you can have that under communism if you can rise through those ranks, but it has to be there, and those people will support it. They'll support it under the belief that one day they can be in charge of that. And that's why you even see Republicans doing this. Why do you think Boehner and Gramnesty are supporting all these ridiculous leftist social programs? Because they're like, hey, one day we'll be in charge of it. We'll be there, man. Just support them now. I know. We're giving all this power to Obama and all the leftists. But that's okay, because next election cycle, we can be in charge of it. So they gladly give the power to them.
Do you know who that sounded like?
I don't know. I wasn't trying to sound like anybody in particular.
I wish my brother George was here.
You know what that is? That is Bugs Bunny doing an impression of. I wish my brother George was here. Who was that?
I don't know.
I think it was
George Burns.
No, the pianist, the gay pianist, Liberace.
Oh, Liberace!
Liberace?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh Lord,
he was doing It was Bugs Bunny doing an impersonation of
Liberace.
Did Liberace have a brother named George?
Probably.
Somebody Google that. I wish my brother George was here.
But it's like creepy. We'll get.
Have you ever
next.
listened to Liberace? Used to come on. Back in the day, people had 3 channels or less, depending on where you lived. In Cincinnati, it was 5, 9, and 12, and that was it. If you couldn't get one of those, you weren't getting anything else. Well, Liberace was a pianist who would come on. Maybe, I don't know, once a week, once a month or whatever, and do his little show and play the piano. And in between the songs, he would talk to the audience and to the camera.
Right.
And he was just creepy the way he would talk and that's how he did. And of course, Bugs Bunny was making fun of him. So.
Well, good to hear.
I wish my brother George was here.
So
that's how he talks.
So now that we've creeped everybody out completely,
go ahead and get on the YouTube and search videos of Liberace, and you'll see.
Oh, he was such a creepster.
Well, he was lighting the loafers.
Oh,
he ended up dying
boy.
of AIDS.
AIDS,
Yeah.
Yep, died of AIDS. So the news media.
Uh-huh. They're doing this because...
If you step out and you press the Almighty, the POTUS, you press him for a hard question.
Or if you're just pissed off at him.
This is what it may sound like if you're a reporter pissed off at the president.
Well, should we...
you want
a little bit, yeah, a little bit of preface. So you have Obama... who is coming around, and let's put on our imagination caps.
Okay.
And imagine that this really was a good deal, and that there is cause for celebration for the idiots that support Obama and Obama himself.
Okay.
Well, while they're over here celebrating this supposed good deal, there's something to not be so celebratory about. And so Major Garrett was upset about this issue, and so he brought it up.
Direct relationship. Okay. Major Garrett.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you well know, there are 4 Americans in Iran, 3 held on trumped-up charges, according to your administration, 1 whereabouts unknown. Can you tell the country, sir, why you are content with all the fanfare around this deal to leave the conscience of this nation and the strength of this nation unaccounted for in relation to these 4 Americans? And last week, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff said under no circumstances should there be any relief for Iran in terms of ballistic missiles or conventional weapons. It is perceived that that was a last-minute capitulation in these negotiations. Many in the Pentagon feel you've left the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff hung out to dry. Could you comment?
I got to give you credit, Major, for how you craft those questions.
Okay, hold on. Because second time around, he's saying, I love how you crafted those 2 questions as if a reporter would never... He's stating the obvious. I mean, as a reporter would never craft 2 questions together. No, that's what they do. And these 2 questions are absolutely relevant to each other in this situation. Why did he say... I'm trying to think... Why did he say instant knee-jerk reaction? Nice how you crafted those 2 questions.
Well, because it was... I'm going to be honest with you. When I first
was it a stall move, stall tactic?
No. He was insulted. Obama was insulted
thoroughly,
and rightfully so. Because when I first heard the question, I thought, "Wow, this is the most disrespectful way you could possibly ask this question." And then I started thinking about it. I was like, "Oh, I see why." Because it's an insult to Major Garrett that they're over here popping the champagne corks.
Oh, he's
while
celebrating. He's celebrating.
The very
Yeah.
people that they negotiated with are the people that have incarcerated American citizens on completely trumped up charges. It's like just as bad, worse than Jimmy Carter. Jimmy Carter not able to get the 44 hostages or 444 hostages out because he was a lame, idiot president that
Spineless.
completely spineless, incompetent, unable to do anything about it. This is worse. This is like, hey, let's. What would be a good analogy? It would be like, oh my gosh, it would be like going to somebody's house that you owe $1,000 to, and then they end up borrowing money from you, and you never ask them about the $1,000. That's what it is. And you agree to give it to them, and it's on. Honestly, I kind of wonder if they actually remembered that there were hostages there.
Okay, before we finish playing, because after this came out, because this blew up all week, the news outlets were appalled that a fellow newsman would ever approach POTUS like this. And finally, the John Kerry.
Late great? He's not dead, is he?
No, he's never been great, and he's always late.
Oh, okay. He's always late at all times. Okay.
He finally was forced to come out of the closet and said, well, the 4 Americans were brought up in every meeting every single time.
And they failed to get him.
That's exactly what I thought. That was the exact words that just immediately spewed out of my mind. Well, first, you're pathetic for saying, first off, he's pathetic for saying they were on the table at every meeting.
Because they didn't get them.
And you didn't get them.
Right. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
You're a moron.
I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that John Kerry lied about that. Oh, before you go on, you got to play the rest of that soundbite.
Yes.
Well, I want to hear the answer Obama gave to Major Garrett, basically breaking one off in him. He's like right in the middle of mid-celebration. All the journalists around him are toasting him like, good job.
Right.
And then here comes Major Garrett with a giant Gatorade jug, the 5-gallon, full of ice water. It just went, cool off.
And by the way, that big old wrench that's the size of a car, yeah, I threw that in the works.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes, I did. Here we go.
So, yeah, what's the rest of what... what's the answer? The answer was...
The notion that I'm content as I celebrate with...
Okay, hold on. Okay. See, you got to take Obama for his words. When he says the problem is I'm the president, not the dictator.
That's the problem.
What he just said here was that he confirmed that he is currently celebrating.
How?
He said the notion that while I'm celebrating...
No, he didn't say that.
Yes!
Come on.
Hold on. Let me back it up a couple of seconds. Let me back it up.
I must have totally missed that.
Okay, I'm going to back it up a few seconds before the question ends, and then we'll pick it right back up. Okay, here we go.
High out to dry. Would you comment?
I got to give you credit, Major, for how you craft those questions. For the notion that I'm content as I celebrate...
Oh, he did!
The notion that I'm content as I celebrate.
Well, how could you not? Why would you celebrate if you're not content? Dude, he's a bad wordsmith. I mean, if you are a logical person and you take words for their meaning and you have somebody string together...
He didn't have a teleprompter.
Oh, yeah, that could be a problem. But, I mean, when you string together words that have meaning in a certain order and... It can be interpreted that way. It's like this guy's just a really bad wordsmith. Just bad.
Well, I mean, he did say 2 weeks ago that they're supporting ISIS and training. We are currently supporting and training ISIS.
Oh my God! So yes, we are celebrating, but for you to think that I'm content while we celebrate, huh? Wow!
How dare you, sicko? Okay, I'll let the rest of it play, folks.
Wow.
Here we go.
Those questions. The notion that I'm content as I celebrate with American citizens languishing in Iranian jails. Major, that's nonsense. And you should know better. I've met with the families of some of those folks. Nobody's content. And our diplomats and our teams are working diligently to try to get them out.
Okay. Oh, man.
Did you just have the mic off?
Yeah.
Whoopsie.
Whoopsie.
Sorry about
We're
that.
back. So, but as these four that he has, three of them are on trumped-up charges, he claimed to have met with some of the families. Some. There's four, not 400. There's four.
So some of the families he didn't. So at minimum, 25% of this group of hostages.
He hand wrote 62 letters to felons, but yet never wrote or even contacted Stiegel, the lady that was shot in the head by, or I don't know if it's in the head. She was shot out in San Francisco by the criminal, illegal alien murderer. Okay, he does all that, but yet he met with some of the four? Some?
He only, I mean, there's a pattern developing here over the course of 6.5 years, and that pattern is that he hates America, and
thoroughly.
An enemy of his enemy is his friend. So anybody who's a criminal or shows any hatred towards America, he's friends with, which explains the whole Iran thing.
Right. Okay, so here's the rest of the answer, if you will.
Now, if the question is why we did not tie the negotiations to their release, think about the logic that creates.
Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, let's think about, first of all, I love how he crafted, he said, if the question would have been...
Which we've talked about this on the show before.
But he's not supposed to, the rule book is you're not supposed to tell the people the question.
You're answering. Right?
You're not you say that in your mind.
Yes, it's supposed to be unspoken. So the rule is, as we've talked on the show, when you're in politics, you never answer the question they ask. You answer the question you wish they asked. But you don't ask the question you wish they asked aloud.
Right.
Which is what he did.
Right, and then he gives the rhetorical. It's insanity. Okay, I'll move on.
Suddenly Iran realizes, you know what? Maybe we can get additional concessions out of the Americans
It's funny how
by holding these individuals. Makes it much more difficult for us to walk away if Iran somehow thinks that a nuclear deal is dependent in some fashion on the nuclear deal. And by the way, if we had walked away from the nuclear deal, we'd still be pushing them just as hard to get these folks out. That's why those issues are not connected. But we are working every single day to try to get them out, and won't stop until they're out and rejoined with their families.
That's it. That's the end.
Do
of
you
the
have
clip.
any do you have any clips of Major Garrett responding to that, to the criticism and all that?
No, I don't.
So basically what he said was when asked if he would like to apologize for asking the question in that way or asking it at all, he said, not only am I glad that I did it, but I'm actually disappointed in myself for not having pushed harder on this.
Oh,
yeah, he doubled down
so
big time.
Awesome.
He doubled down. He said I should have done more for longer to try to raise awareness of these captors, is what he's basically was saying. So yeah, he doubled down on the way he wrote, and he's just I think it's great. But I mean, he said that everything he said he was worried about happening in the negotiation by bringing up the 4 captives all happened. I mean, when he said that they would get more additional concessions, how many more could they possibly pile on to the concessions that we took? I mean, I don't think that you could pile any more on top of the concessions.
Well, Kerry,
you know what really grinds my gears? You, America.
Oh.
Whoa. So that's a friend of Obama's. Apparently.
Yeah. Well, and I cut out the F-bombs that he unloaded. No, here's what really grinds my gears.
Oh, look at this.
This is going to make your eyes...
Well, before we have breaking news. Iran leader, the Ayatollah, vows anti-U.S. policy despite nuke deal. This is just breaking.
No, that's part of my stack of stuff.
Oh, this is not breaking? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I mean, it's within... It's this weekend. I mean, it was within the last 24 hours.
Well, this is on the front page of Yahoo, and I've been scrolling through all this weekend, and this is the first time I've seen this, so Yahoo must be late to the game. If you're already on top of this, then Yahoo's late. Sorry.
So here's what grinds my gears. The American prisoners that are held in Iran were never part of the deal. Kerry reacted to the press questioning Obama and the prisoners. He said, we talked about it every single time in the meeting. Okay. The Obama administration helped to secure the release of several Iranian detainees in the United States and in the United Kingdom. That's the UK or Britain, for those of you in Westwood. Some convicted of illegal arms smuggling, according to reports that comes as U.S. prisoners languish in Iranian jails. Part of the nuke deal, part of the nuclear deal, was the release of a small dream team of Iranian prisoners.
Oh, we have such a boob for a president. This guy is
how does your head not explode?
I have no idea what he's doing. I don't know why he's doing it. It makes perfect sense why they were celebrating in the streets. And here we go, the Ayatollah Khomeini's like, and you know what? We'll do it again to you. Bring Obama on again. We'll do it again.
And a week ago, on last week's show, we talked about there were protests in the streets during this nuke talk of all the Iranians screaming and yelling, death to America, burning American flags. There's a march that happens once a year in Iran. It's translated. It's the Hate the Jew Day.
Okay.
Something of that nature. And so they did this march a week ago where they did a parade in the street. Hate the Jew, hate America, too.
Okay.
Load up. Ayatollah Khomeini was part of it.
Oh, are you surprised?
No, but how can you do a nuke deal with people
I have no idea what their
that
motive is.
hate you?
You've fast-tracked their ability to get the nuke now. If you look at it long term, I mean, maybe there's some sort of a prayer, a hope for good people to do good, I guess. I don't know. That in Iran and honor their deal, and somehow you've prevented, let's say they could have gotten a nuke within 8 years. With this deal, you've now maybe prevented it until 10 years. So you may have prolonged a nuclear Iran by just maybe 2 years, maybe 3.
No,
maybe?
no. In 2 years, they'll have a nuke.
Well, they could. They could. I'm just saying. I'm saying in this imaginary world.
Oh.
In an imaginary
I
world.
didn't put my imaginary hat on.
Yeah, but I'm sorry. I forgot to prompt you all to put your imaginary hat on. So with your imaginary hat on, imagine an Iran leaders who are going to honor their side of the deal.
Right.
In that case, if we had not done this deal, if Iran goes nuke within 8 years, we guarantee them nukes within 10 now. So so kudos to Obama for delaying a nuclear Iran by 2 years. The problem is that 8 years that I just threw out there out of the blue, who knows? It could be 8 years, it could be 20, it could be never.
Well, now
we are guaranteeing them nukes in 10 years.
Absolutely. ICBMs, international continental ballistic missiles, carrying nuclear warheads and an arsenal of them.
Yeah, they're not going to show up on day one and say, okay, we're going to start working on nukes.
We got one. Right.
They're not going to show
I was thinking they're showing up on day one. We got one nuke.
We got one nuke. And I was going to say that second. They're not going to come and say, we got one. They're going to say, check out our arsenal. It's going to be massive. And now, day one, starting today, aren't they allowed to start building missiles?
Well,
the
deal hasn't been ratified by our Congress.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but who's going to stop them?
That's true. However, if you remember, our Jackball Congress and our Jackball Senate both signed off to give Obama a fast track.
Oh, did they? I thought that they were not allowing that. They did it.
Well, I'm just saying this still has to go through them.
But
there's an article that says Obama vows.
So this was the fast track.
Obama vows to insult Congress if they don't sign on to this.
Insult them?
Yes.
That can't be
That was
real.
the title of the article.
I vow to insult them. I'm gonna start a hashtag campaign. Oh no, they did.
Well,
hashtag Congress sucks.
Right.
That's what he's gonna do.
That's funny you say that because Iran has started a hashtag. Hashtag Thank You America.
Oh, of course.
Hashtag Give Up America. America gives up. Hashtag America surrenders.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all over the place. So
we fast tracked the surrender of America thanks to.
Right, so three key
takeaway
points. One, Obama has recognized Iran as a nuclear state. It's flat out, first and foremost. Secondly, Obama did not end Iran's nuclear program. He preserved it. Preserving their nuclear program. Let's get it going, because they couldn't sort of get it going on a shoestring budget, but now they've got plenty of money. And three, we were supposed to have, as one of our red line, anytime, anywhere inspections. While under this agreement, there's a process that takes nearly a month.
Yeah, 24 days.
Before you'd ever get access to the site So within that month, you can clean it up, move
Totally
stuff
clean it up.
around.
They said that, okay, so here's one of the things they can do to find out if they've been working on nukes or not. They can go into these giant facilities and scrub a wall and take that scrub into a lab and detect any kind of nuclear material on that wall that they scrubbed, right? That's what the inspectors would do.
Okay.
Sounds like something that would be extremely hard to hide, right?
Oh, like blood at a crime scene in the carpet.
Yeah, imagine
You
trying
can
to
you can never get rid of blood.
Well, guess what they do? Talk about get rid of it. They'll, before the inspectors come in, they got 24 days to do this. They will tile the wall. They'll put new tile in. They could scrub the hell out of brand spanking new tile after all the nukes are out. Get the nukes out, then tile the wall.
And that'll hold in the residue.
When you scrub the wall, you're not going to get anything on it. It's going to be brand spanking new tile.
Oh, it's not like detecting radiation with a
It'll detect
a
radiation
detector.
on the scrubber.
And the scrubber is actually removing it from the physical particles from the wall.
Right.
And so when you put tile over it, those particles aren't coming through the tile.
Right. It doesn't. And also, they do soil samples. Guess how they stop the soil
Now,
sample?
that's interesting. How do they do that?
They asphalt the whole area. I'm not kidding. It sounds like a stupid joke. They completely asphalt the whole area. You can't do a soil sample. Although I would bring in a backhoe. I'd say, you know what, we're putting a hole in this thing.
Yeah, we're doing
That's what
something
I would
hardcore.
do. Yeah.
So,
can
go
I
ahead.
say this? I just want to point this out because I was going to say it earlier and I got sidetracked and forgot. Boehner jogged my memory on something. When you think of, I actually am. I object to people calling Iran a terrorist state, or a state sponsor of terrorism. That's what they call it. They call Iran a state sponsor of terrorism. I object to that. That would be like calling Charles Manson a supporter of murder instead of what he is.
Murderer.
Yeah. When you think of, if there's one country, one place where you can say, okay, that's a country, which is Iran. If you can think of one that would be considered the terrorist country, I mean, there's got to be only one that tops that list.
Oh, that would be Iran.
Okay, that being said, wouldn't what Obama did make America a state sponsor of terrorism?
Okay, it's already been put out there. Ted Cruz came out this week. Ted Cruz took to the floor with a microphone in hand. And I quote, Obama is now the leading financier of terror against the world.
Man, Ted Cruz beat me to it. But no, he's absolutely right. No, it's not your fault.
No, he is the leading financier of terror.
Yeah, we're
Obama.
We're debating over whether or not Cuba was a state sponsor of terror and how.
Oh no, he took them off the list.
No, that's what I mean. They thought it was silly that they are, or that they were on the list. They should be removed, which they did.
And then a week later, after they removed them from the list, a terror organization went down and attacked an army facility that's sponsored by Cuba.
Where?
To another country, Colombia.
Oh, okay. So technically,
a
they
terrorist
probably are.
group supported by the Cuban government went and killed 10 military personnel attacking a military installation.
So it sounds a lot like Chattanooga.
Yeah,
sounds an awful lot like Chattanooga, which was clearly a terrorist act,
right?
Or as I would call it, an Islamist attack,
right?
So now we are the number one. If you look at the dollars that we're sending to Iran, we've got to be by a long shot the biggest, hugest financer of terrorism in the world.
Right. Obama has helped to secure the demise of all freedom-loving human beings on the planet.
Yeah, that sums it up.
So Scott Walker, who I'm a very big fan of, he came out and he said, quote, "This will be remembered as one of America's worst diplomatic failures of all time.
It's got to be way up there. I mean, think about it. I mean,
here's what they also said. They said if this negotiating team, Obama, Kerry, all these jokers, were around during World War II, they would have surrendered to the Japanese.
I mean, of course. It's the same thing as what I was saying about North Korea.
How would Patton be able to deal with this?
Oh, they would have.
How would Winston Churchill deal with this?
He would have just been standing alone. He would have been standing alone. No, Patton would have been forced to resign. He probably would have been charged with something.
No, he'd have been in that car accident long time ago.
Yeah, I have to read that book, Killing Patton. That just blows my mind that something like that happened.
That car wreck.
Yeah, they're very suspicious. Very suspicious. So,
and nobody else in the entire car died.
What?
Nobody in the car died. Nobody.
Except for him.
Except him.
That's weird.
And they all made it out. They all walked it. They ran away from the car as it was still rolling.
They jumped out. It went over a cliff.
You know how it was in the 40s. They had the running boards. You just opened the door and just jumped out.
Yeah, you could do that. Except if it's a suicide door. Maybe that's what it was. They all rolled out the door. He opens the suicide door and
gets clipped.
Oh, that would be very ugly. So yeah, so North Korea, like I said, I predict that if North Korea had the balls to say, you know what, I'm going for it. I think they would get it without a fight.
And Iran's got our back too.
What?
Iran's got North Korea's back.
Oh yeah, right. So so if Iran, if I'm right about that, then what you said about this team of negotiators just surrendering to the Japanese makes perfect sense. I mean, it all would totally make sense.
Dick Cheney was on Hannity this week.
Okay.
And there's one quote. I tried to get the soundbite, but we ran out of time.
Cheney would never have.
Let's
just say, let's put on our imagination caps and say that somehow he was convinced that, yeah, let's sit down with these people and let's have a talk. No way would it have gone down anything like this.
And I quote Dick, "What the hell was this president thinking?"
He said it like past tense.
He said, "What the hell was he thinking?"
Was he thinking? I'd say, what is he thinking? That's what I would say.
Well, when the deal's done and they sign the deal and they're celebrating, what was he thinking that this was an okay thing to do?
Yeah, but now he's coming out and
what's he still thinking? He's defending himself. What is he still thinking?
He's not even defending himself. He's saying, aren't you all just so happy like I am about such a great deal we made? He's literally coming out and saying that.
Okay. Now I got to expose the lunacy that is the elected officials from the West Coast, namely former Speaker of the House, former what is that? A lobotomy. Yeah, former lobotomy patient. She did go through a full frontal lobotomy.
Then it's the only way it explains it. But
Nancy Pelosi, I've lost my frontal lobe. Pelosi. Here's what she came and took to the mic, and she said this. She had a couple statements. Here's her first statement. The historic nuclear agreement announced today
it's historic.
Is the product of years of tough, bold, and clear-eyed leadership from the President Obama.
Who is he leading?
I commend the president for his strength throughout the historic negotiations that have led to this point. I join him in commending Secretary Kerry Yu Rang and Secretary Moise for their leadership. Okay, she takes a deep breath, and here's where it comes out.
Uh-oh.
A nuclear-armed Iran is unacceptable to the United States, unacceptable to Israel, and unacceptable to the world.
So she just undermined everything she just said prior to that.
Aggressive restrictions and inspections offer the best long-term plan to stop Iran from building a nuclear weapon. Congress will closely review the details of this agreement. We have no illusion about the Iranian regime or the destabilizing influence Iran continues to have in the region. We must maintain our vigilance. All options remain on the table should Iran take any steps toward a nuclear weapon or deviate from the terms of this agreement.
And how do they plan on finding that out?
Dude, is she sick?
Well, talking about the strength and what words did she use to describe this quote leadership? Was it?
Hold on. The product of years of tough, bold, and clear-eyed leadership.
So basically, what she's saying is, it took a lot of strength, and I don't know if the word courage was used, but definitely a lot of bold, clear thinking.
You know, she's getting
order.
She's getting paid on the back end from Clear Eyes. For saying
that. Yeah, sponsored by Clear Eyes.
She is the richest person in Capitol Hill.
It takes a lot of cojones in order to be able to face the American people.
Come back home to America
after selling us so thoroughly down the river
and pop the champagne. Not only does it take cojones, but you also pop
the champagne, and then all of a sudden you're like, Whoa.
Who called me? Major Garrett?
How
dare you?
Oh, the forged hostages. Oh, I knew I forgot something.
Somebody call Kerry. Tell him to make a statement. Call Kerry.
Honestly, I seriously believe that behind closed doors, Obama is like, oh, I knew I forgot something. Oh.
Either that or he's like, oh, how could he have remembered that?
I didn't even remember that. I mean, my gosh. Wow.
How did Major Garrett, somebody pull his press pass?
Pull his press pass, and also somebody's having an accident.
Oh, no, you didn't.
Hey, if something happens to him, actually, at this point, it can't. If anything happens to him now, it'll be too obvious.
Wow.
It's like that scene in Scarface. Remember, he was going to blow that guy's car up.
Right.
And then he didn't blow it up because there were kids getting in the car.
Right. Oh, you know what they did to him?
Well, he ended up not exploding the bomb, but he mistakenly said, that's okay, I'll do it again. That's okay.
No.
And he said, no, they found the bomb. You ain't ever going to get another chance.
You know why? Because you ain't going to be around no more.
Oh, well, yeah, there's that.
I mean...
But Scarface, Al Pacino, thought, that's okay, I'll do it again, I just won't kill the kids. And he was like, you idiot, they found the bomb, now you'll never get near his car.
Right.
Well, it's the same thing with Major Garrett. Now that they all know that they probably want to kill him, now they can't, because it'll be too obvious.
Right. Clearly obvious.
Yeah. So,
well, it's funny with all this going on, there's Islamic militant fighting under the name D-Guerrilla of Muslim Al-Bratania. I don't know. But they're online with ISIS, and they're now claiming that they're part of ISIS, like a little fraction.
Mm-hmm.
They're claiming that ISIS has developed a dirty bomb with materials seized from Mosul University.
I can't believe this hasn't happened earlier.
Quote, by the way, Islamic State does have a dirty bomb. We found some radioactive material from the Mosul University. This guy claims. He continued, we'll find out what dirty bombs are and what they do. We'll also discuss what might happen if one actually goes off in a public area. He.
What?
Yeah, it's in an online quote. Like, he came out and letting everybody know. Well, ISIS doesn't really need to worry about finding a dirty bomb. They just need to make connection with Iran. They'll get a real one.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I mean, call me crazy, But at this point, I mean, I don't see why they couldn't just call up the red phone in the Oval Office and say, hook us up.
Well, ISIS did last Sunday.
Uh-oh.
While we were all sleeping.
Oh.
On Sunday, ISIS seizes the city of Ramadan. And then thanks Obama for spoils of war on Twitter. The western Iraq city of Ramadi, Ramadi, which is just 70 miles from Baghdad, fell to ISIS on Sunday after a year of fighting the Iraqi government.
The Iraqi government? The government we put in there after we toppled Saddam?
Right. Aided by airstrikes led by the U.S. coalition. It represents the biggest victory for ISIS since the Shiite parliamentary groups began pushing the militants back last summer in the Sunni Muslim-dominated city. Okay, this is what they listed, or this is what they found in this city. You ready?
I hope so. I'm never ready, but yeah.
40 Humvees.
Oh, for crap. That's so embarrassing.
10 Abram tanks.
10 of them? The M1?
Yeah. A battalion of howitzer artillery, armored trucks, and ammunition. Hashtag Iraq, hashtag ISIS, hashtag USA.
It's just so embarrassing. It's so embarrassing.
They showed pictures. Here's what they do. They won't do a full video of a beheading. But when they get this stuff, I mean, it is a parade. I mean, Paramount Pictures is on the scene.
Oh, my God.
To do a full documentary on all the stuff. The spoils. That's what it was. Hashtag spoils of war. Thank you. Hashtag thank you, Obama. They literally came out thanking Obama for free stuff.
Do you think it is a taunt, or do you think they sincerely thank him?
Both.
Or do you think they're being sarcastic, like, thank you, Obama?
It's a taunt to the American people. It's an actual thank you to their brother, Obama.
You might be giving them a lot more credit than is due, because they might not know about the rocky relationship of the American people to their communist installed dictator, which is
right.
Obama. But something my dad told me, that this is going to... Do you know that Obama signed into something? I don't know if it's a law or executive order, but it was years ago. It wasn't something recent. Allowing Russia to have completely at-will, on-demand inspections of U.S. nuclear weapon sites.
I could believe he did that. However, unless it was before 2010... I can't see that would hold up because Congress and the Senate would have to pass that.
Well, somebody has to stop the Russians. What if the Russians just call them up and say, hey, you said we could inspect. Yeah, well, we just want to nose around a little bit. And Obama says, yeah, go ahead. What's Congress going to do about that?
Dude, I don't know. That would be pretty upsetting.
No, that's what my dad said. I have to verify. I need a link from him on that to see, to read up more about it. But if we're allowing Russia, and the reason was that we have this nuclear disarmament between the two superpowers,
right.
We just want to make sure that you know that we really are disarming.
And we don't care if you are. We're just letting you know we really are. So our good
we're leading.
We're leading from behind. So what we're doing is we're showing you what it looks like to disarm. So you can go home and you can do the same.
And give me a call. Make sure as soon as you're done, give me a call.
Right, text me.
Text me.
So you know how Catholics have different traditions, and one is Lent.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And during Lent, you were never supposed to eat any kind of meat originally.
Well, you know, I just recently found out that not all Christians practice Lent.
No. I never knew what Lent was until I had a Catholic friend.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So Lent is a practice for 40 days.
Right.
And it has to do with, I think, Jesus being in the desert for 40 days battling the devil and temptation. So during Lent, you're supposed to give up something that's like a crutch. I mean, now, if you're a hardcore smoker, you give up cigarettes.
Jesus was accused at the beginning of Lent.
Okay.
And then convicted and crucified and killed for Easter.
Okay.
So Lent is the 40 days leading up to Easter.
Oh, okay.
So, but anyway, originally it was bread and water, and that's it.
Correct. No meats.
No meats whatsoever. And then what happened was the fish industry lobbied.
Mickey D's got involved.
So they're like, we got all these fish. What are we going to do with them? So, no, really what happened was they realized small children and,
So I had it totally wrong. So the 40 days leading up to Easter.
Yeah, up to the crucifixion.
I'm sorry, folks.
Yeah.
I'm not Catholic. I apologize.
So it's supposed to be you experiencing some of the suffering that he went through the beatings and all that while he was incarcerated and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so you are supposed to give up something for Lent. Back then, it was food other than bread and water,
which is pretty hardcore back then.
Yeah, and so they added you can eat fish, but only on Fridays. And then after a while, they were like, well, you can eat. They just kept adding stuff.
Right. So anywhere on the west side of Cincinnati, you will see signs everywhere: Masonic lodges, Mickey D's,
right?
Everywhere. Buy one, get one, free fish dinner, fish fry, fish this, fish that, everything fish.
You know what it is now? During Lent, you're not allowed. You're only not allowed to eat meat on Fridays. It's like ridiculous now.
So you can eat meat anytime except Friday.
Except for every Friday during Lent.
Okay, so you can have a hamburger on Thursday, fish on Friday.
I know, it's convoluted.
Hamburger on Saturday.
It's convoluted.
Okay, so if you ate if you went to Wendy's and had the 4-layer, 5-layer patty with cheese that glues them together and bacon.
No, the Steak and Shake, the 7-stack.
Oh, yes! So if you had that, what would the papacy do to you?
Well, as long as it wasn't on Friday.
No, you did do it on Friday.
Oh.
What would the papacy do to you?
Well, you would have to confess and then repent and ask for forgiveness, and then you'd probably be okay.
Would they flog you? Throw you in jail?
They crucify you. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's a whole thing where God is always watching you and all that kind of stuff.
Well, the Muslim community, the ISIS in particular, under the rule of the caliphate, have something called Ramadan.
Ah, okay.
And during Ramadan, you're not allowed to eat.
Okay.
And so, 94 children who were accused of eating were crucified.
I was just joking about that.
No. They crucified them.
Oh, for crap's sake. It's barbarism.
These are our friends. These are Obama's friends. These are the ones who now have the spoils of war. These are the ones who will and probably have obtained nuclear material.
And do a dirty bomb.
I mean...
But once Iran gets nukes, how on earth, knowing what we know about Iran, terrorism in general, Islamic terrorism, Islam's attitude towards America, how on earth does Iran not hook up a group of people who would use it against America?
Well, right. They promised to use it against America, for one. And two, you've got to understand the Muslim religion. The Muslim religion is, at all cost, for all cost, because the means justifies the ends. So if you do a dirty bomb and you, in hopes to kill 100 non-believers, and you happen to take out 100 Muslims, that's okay. You won't be persecuted for that because the ends justify the means.
Because you were able to kill the people that mattered.
Right.
It's more important to kill than to preserve life.
Correct. So by Saudi Arabia teaming up with Israel, they've now sealed their fate.
Well, I got a question for you.
Even though that they're Muslim.
Let's do the thought experiment and take it to its extreme.
Okay.
What if you're in a crowded area and you know, based on information that you received somehow, that it's 100 people in the group of the crowd, 90 of them are Muslim, but only 10 of them are non-believers. If you were to blow that entire group up, would that be okay?
Yeah, because you got non-believers.
So I got 10 non-believers. I know we killed 90.
Well, one is better than none.
So if there's one
out of 100,
and 99 Muslims, and one of them's not a Muslim, if I blow that whole thing up, that would be okay.
I'm not sure what the ratio of the number is.
Is there a magic number?
However, I will say this, that homosexuality is completely, you'll be beheaded for that.
Okay.
There's no question. Immediately. Okay? You don't play about it. You don't joke about it.
Is it stoned or beheaded? Yeah.
Yeah. However, some of the, what do they call their leaders? The imams.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The imams have come out and said that there's a practice that they're now instituting to where there's this exercise to open up your orifice in order to insert dirty bombs.
Oh, right, because it won't be
dirty.
Will you be able to?
No pun intended.
All right, it's very dirty.
So the people of Muslim faith are having a problem with this, and they said, "Well, this is against our religion, and Muhammad would I'll go to hell."
He'll be mad. He'll be mad, right?
I won't get my 72 virgins. And the imam says, and this is documented fact, that he says, because the ends justify the means, because you are doing this and you are participating in the holy war,
this is okay.
This is completely acceptable to Muhammad. However, say 2 or 3 Hail Marys before, so just in case.
So he basically undermined what he just said.
Yeah, and then he says, say a prayer for forgiveness, just
in case,
just to double down on that one.
Yeah, you might want to hedge your
bets.
You might want to hedge a little bit here. Go ahead and
go
ahead and give yourself a couple of prayers there and ask for forgiveness. Wow.
So, what was big in the news last week?
I have no idea. I thought the Islam thing was about as much as you can handle.
Well, the week before, it was all the joke about Greece.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And their vote, they took it to the people.
Yeah, the austerity measures.
And they were cheering in the streets about how, yes, we stuck it to them. No.
We say no to austerity.
Which means we want our money.
Right.
All of it. Well, over the weekend, on Sunday, old boy, the leader who said, I got to take it to my people, he was pressured. And he broke. So the headlines was, Greek people bewildered, left wondering what happened to the referendum no vote.
So wait a minute. So they voted no, and then he went back and said what?
Less than a week after they celebrated their rejection of a harsh austerity plan, many Greeks are struggling to understand why Alexis is signing up to an even deeper spending cuts.
So basically, he went to the leaders of the EU and said, hey, my people said no. And they said, well, we know that, but we know what you need to do.
Right.
And he said, ooh, man, they may be right.
They took him to the woodshed.
They took him to the woodshed, and they said, I don't care what they vote. You're going to do this. So he went back and bent to the will of the rest of the EU.
So here's what happened. In return for 53.5 billion lira, or euro, lira, it was Italian money.
Oh, okay.
which is no longer in existence.
Because they got the euro.
Right.
Okay.
So 53.5 billion euro. It has promised to immediately implement many of the demands it previously resisted. I.e., here are the demands that the president has agreed to. It is agreed that the exemptions of the Greek islands will be removed, and all. Did you know that the Greek islands were exempted from tax?
That sounds kind of corrupt.
All of them. I don't know how many there are, but they were all exempted from tax. Okay, so that will be immediately removed, and all restaurants will have to pay an effective rate of 23%.
Okay.
Doesn't seem like a lot because
I mean, it's high, but it's not.
You're going from 0
crippling.
to 23.
Well, that's a lot. That's a big. But like, if you compare it to what I pay, that sounds like,
Okay, that's not bad. But when you're paying 0,
Yeah.
like you're living at home and you're paying no rent, and then one day you wake up and you're 30, and your mom says, "Hey, you got to pay. I know you make $1,000 a week. You got to pay me $250 now
a week. So if you make $1,000 a week,
living at home.
now you're making
$750.
$750. That's a pretty big.
That's a pretty chunk, yeah.
Right. Whew. Yeah, that's
Okay.
tough.
There will be a tax rise on all shipping companies, and Greek farmers will have all fuel subsidies abolished.
Well, I mean that a subsidy is just welfare.
I know, but having free stuff and then immediately having it removed.
Yeah,
It's the Band-Aid. It's all the Band-Aid. It will also put into place a more robust tax collection regime to clamp down on evasion. Because apparently tax evasion in Greece is what you do.
Well, that makes sense why they're having so much trouble.
Right. Okay. Supplementary pensions for the poorest will be phased out by December 2019, and the basic pensions and retirement age will rise from 45
Who is retiring at 45? Come on.
to 67.
Ooh, now that's more legit.
That's absolutely legit. But the thing is imagine that you, all your life, knowing you're say you're 39, 40 years old, all your 40 years.
But you know what they did in the military? Anytime they made a major benefits change,
Oh, retroactive.
well, it would start with the very next new recruit.
Oh, right.
And they did that with back in the day, when you did your 20 years, you got 50% of your base pay at the time of retire for the rest of your life.
Right.
And they said, it's a little bit high. We need to reduce that to 40. That does not mean that those that were in the military at 19 years suddenly were going to go from 50 to 40 just because they were in. No, what they did was the very next recruit that signed up lost that benefit.
Well, here's the problem with this, though. If you're not currently collecting, you're not going to get it.
Well, let me tell you my opinion.
And if you are one of the poorest and you're collecting right now, in 4 more years, you'll be bumped down further to a different pension level.
Oh, so they'll make less too.
Yes.
Well, here's my opinion. I understand the whole military thing. Okay, you're going from 50 to 40% pension for the rest of your life. And I'm talking about American military here. And so let's let everybody who's in now keep the 50, and from here on out, all the new recruits will go down to 40. That makes sense to me. Greece is on fire and ready to collapse upon itself. And you got people in their 40s, totally healthy, strapping young men in their 40s who, I mean, you don't grandfather somebody in that's not even old enough to be a grandfather.
Not only that, but that is the absolute, that is part of the atheism, just the absence of the whole idea, the whole notion you're supposed to work your whole life. I mean, that's what God said. And to be the lazy sloth Isn't that one of the temptations?
One of the 7 deadly sins, if you will.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Okay, so that'll be happening. The country's defense spending will be cut by $300 million.
When has Greece ever needed defense? Look at it this way. You're in the EU now.
Well, they cut that because that was slush fund money.
Oh, okay. All right. I was going to say, Greece, military, what's going on here? I mean, if you're in the EU, I look at the Europe and all the countries that make up Europe as the United States and all the states that make up the United States now. They all speak different languages and stuff like that, and they're more independent than any one given state in the United States. However, if anybody attacks Ohio, I'm sure that Indiana or the federal government will come to its aid. Just in Europe, anybody dares decide to attack any one given country in Europe.
Well, unless it's France and you've offended Muslims, then it's okay.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's the thing. They're going to use PC to destroy EU.
So, do you want to hear what the UK Telegraph had to say about this?
Yes, I do, actually.
Greek Premier Alexis faced a furious backlash from his own Syriza party on Monday night after yielding to draconian demands from the European creditors' power and agreeing to let foreign supervisors take control of his country. Violence and protest erupt on the streets of Athens ahead of Parliament's vote on the tough bailout measures. Riot police run from petrol bombs during unrest over the Greek Parliament's debate on reforms. 25,000 people gather in the square. And apparently this guy's name, I don't know if that's his name, Golden Dawn. I don't know. Golden Dawn furiously tears up papers in Parliament over the bailout deal.
Okay.
The whole place is erupting. Everything's on fire. And get this. The forest is raging on fire in Greece, and they can't put it out.
Oh, like a wildfire.
Yeah.
Obviously arson, right? I mean, that wouldn't just be a coincidence.
It's a hell of a quinky dinky.
That would be. That's why I don't.
It is so. Apparently, the wildfires are so bad that they're having to call their countries to help. They don't have enough water.
They don't have enough money
because they ran out of buckets. They could. Well, we said last week that the local newspaper in Greece is running out of paper.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, it was part of my second. The local newspaper reported that we're running out of paper.
Well, if they buy ink by the barrel, they might want to downsize that. They're gonna.
They've got barrels of ink, but no paper.
Well, the font will be, instead of black, it'll be like a light gray. So you have to be in a well lit room to kind of see the letters and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, I think we're at the point of random news.
Oh, Donald Trump.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump. Well, I'm in random news.
Okay.
Donald Trump.
Fair enough.
Whew, you talk about random. So, I was on Twitter today, and somebody said, okay, I think Trump needs to apologize, and I thought they were talking about his immigration comments from last week. Yeah.
What?
Well, hold on. No, Brian's getting ahead of everybody.
The producer just revealed the title. You know how, folks, I am about titles.
Wait till I explain this. So
headlines.
Brian's reading the headline, just losing it. So I'm on Twitter, and somebody says he needs to apologize, and I wrote too soon. I should actually go back in and delete it. I responded saying, "What? He should apologize for everybody else misinterpreting what he says and misstating what he says." Well, I didn't realize that he came out and said something new.
Okay.
So Trump was attacking McCain by saying that everybody calls McCain a hero. I don't think he's a hero. The only thing that makes him a hero is he was captured. I like people who weren't captured.
Oh gosh!
Oh,
oh gosh!
Can you believe? I mean,
Oh God!
Even I said, when I heard that, I was like, "Oh, dude, you need to come out and apologize." Dude.
He kind of. I like people who weren't captured.
That was not the whole quote. That's taken out of context. What he said was, the only reason McCain is looked at as a hero is because he was captured. If he was never captured, he wouldn't be looked as a hero. I like people that weren't captured.
Yikes.
I know. Dude, you can't attack people who served in the military based on their service in the military. I don't care what you do.
Attack John McCain for being a liberal Democrat.
Right. Attacking
For his policies.
This could have been the worst way to come back at McCain.
Not only that, but
let's draw attention to his military service. Come on.
Trump is starting to go Trump. I mean, that's the thing. When Trump goes Trump, he is who he is. You don't change your stripes. So,
well, he needed to think through saying that, and I hope that he didn't have time to think about that. He actually said, this is the quote, "He's not a war hero. He was a war hero because he was captured. I like people that weren't captured."
I don't get that. I like people who weren't captured.
Well, he's saying he doesn't like McCain because...
I know, but what about all the people who are captured? Do you not like them?
He's trying to make this really bad statement that if you were captured, you made a mistake, and so you shouldn't be praised as a hero for
But he was McCain was in the Air Force, I believe.
Well, he's a pilot.
Yeah, he was in the Air
Navy.
Force.
Navy.
Was it Navy?
He was on an aircraft carrier. It was a huge...
In the Navy,
right.
You can
I'm assuming
sail the seven seas.
He was in the Navy. It was definitely Navy because he was... there's video footage of him in a nasty mishap on the deck of the aircraft carrier. Have you seen that?
You can ask the officer, please, in the Navy.
No, it's probably why he's all mangled and stuff.
This is the after hours portion of our show.
Yeah. When we get a little slap at you. We only got 6 minutes left. What other random news we have?
Did you hear about Planned Parenthood this week? It was huge.
How did we not go all over that? Yeah, that was huge news.
Planned Parenthood.
Dude, we got 6 minutes to cover Planned Parenthood? Come on.
Well, technically...
We have more because we got cut off.
Right.
Okay, well, we can go longer.
Planned Parenthood, the group that Democrats fight tooth and nail for, with the claim that it provides vital medical services, i.e. abortions or the murder of babies.
It's a medical procedure. I mean, what's the definition of medical, by the way?
Uses partial birth abortions to harvest organs and other tissues of the aborted babies in order to sell them. There's a video, an undercover video that this group had years in the works and posed as a medical organization to purchase organs, heart, kidneys, lungs, stuff, skin. They were posing to buy these things from the head of Planned Parenthood because Planned Parenthood, they have a procedure where they will do an abortion of a baby, 7 months, 6 months, 5 months, 4 months, whatever the time at 9 months, to remove the baby, and they can do it in a special way to preserve the organs so they can harvest them and then sell them.
Right. They use ultrasound to monitor the live baby as they enter the area with the forceps to rip it out and kill it in order to make sure that they don't do damage to the body parts that they could sell for good money.
So while she's slopping down a tossed salad with dressing...
Yeah, she's like at a restaurant talking about this with French dressing. Well, I don't know.
Well, then that explains it all. Folks, the older I get, the more I am clearly seeing the line is drawn and saying it is black and white, is right and wrong. there is absolute evil. I mean, the devil lives on earth as we speak. There is no doubt in my mind. These people are the most sadistic. Maybe they were sent here from ISIS.
It's bad. I don't know. I mean, they've been around for a long time. Has ISIS been around that long? Here's my thing about this particular video and the revelation of what they're doing is vis-a-vis hacking up babies and committing infanticide in order to resell for a profit the body parts. I mean, it's literally.
How do you not go to hell for that?
Oh, that's very special.
How do you not?
Very
how are there not 4 double wide open gates with a vacuum that just sucks you through? You can't even stop yourself.
Yeah, there may not be very many people left to go to heaven after this debacle. I mean, this is so bad, God might look at us and say, dude, I know you guys didn't do a lot of bad things. You did some good things. But how did you let that go on?
Not only how did you let it go on, but how did these people have... Now, let me back up here, folks. I know of people in the past. I know friends, and I've heard stories from my parents. I know people who have committed sins. I've committed a few of them myself.
Everybody commits sins.
The fact is, though, is that we have guilt and remorse. Forgive yourself and ask God to forgive you for them. And the Bible says as long as you do that and you really are remorseful, that you will be forgiven. 100% forgive and forget. God is like that. The problem I have is that these people have zero remorse, zero morals, zero. I mean, it's just, there is nothing not a single good bone in their body that would stop them from like that doctor that they shuffled off really quick, the abortion doctor that was doing all these crazy partial birth abortions.
Oh, he ended up getting prison.
How do we not remember his name?
Oh, it was a couple of years ago.
How fast did they shuffle that through the works?
Yeah, I mean, I was pleasantly happy that I was very pleasantly surprised and happy that he was found guilty and convicted. I don't know how it was, life sentence or something like that. It was a stiff sentence, and I was really happy to hear that and kind of surprised because the Roe v. Wade thing, I mean, almost kind of protects people like that.
Right. Not only does it protect him, but the media would have protected him too. However,
certainly.
They didn't want to get their hands too dirty, so what they did was they just ignored it.
Yeah, because
let's not report on it.
Okay, so I would have said his case was the Uncle Tom's Cabin, if you will.
Right.
But this one might be it.
This is certainly... because I mean, there was, back about a couple of years ago, maybe a year and a half ago, listening to Glenn Beck, he did a report on hospitals that used this stuff to actually fuel
the rest of the business
of stuff. Yeah, something of that nature. They were using this stuff to burn because it was free. So it would help offset the heating cost of the hospital.
Oh, you mean they were literally physically burning?
Right.
The remains.
Correct.
That sounds like something straight out of the Holocaust.
He mentioned that, and he also talked about the not that movie where the head to the butt to the head to the butt, not that one, but the book. No. It's the movie your dad had you watch, to where I
need some plot. An actor?
It'll come to me.
No, we'll talk about it later. So, I think that this issue is this particular issue. See, the guy that got convicted of the murder, multiple murders, and all that. He's literally, I mean, as big of a player as he is, He's just a foot soldier. What he's doing is what they're all doing. All the doctors that perform abortions may not be doing things as bad as he was. He was actually performing abortions after live birth.
Kermit Gosnell.
Okay.
Gosnell.
Yeah, I remember
Gosnell.
that.
Yeah.
So he was delivering babies who were scheduled to be aborted and then having them killed.
Convicted of 21 felony counts of illegal late-term abortion.
Yeah, and some of them were alive when they came out.
However, if you ask the people that are in power right now with Obama's administration, the partial birth abortion in all states should be 100% legal.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Hannity was really, really vocal about what happened with this abortion.
Oh, no, he got 30 years in prison.
Okay.
30 years.
So Hannity this week, obviously outraged, decided to make this the center of the focal point, the lead story. And he was interviewing liberals who are very, very pro-choice, pro-murder, pro-abortion, whatever. And
that's exactly what it is, pro-murder.
He asked this woman over and over and over again. It started getting a little weird.
Oh, dude, he gets like that.
Well, because she wouldn't answer the question. She wanted to she was doing what you're not allowed to do. Instead of answering the question you wanted to be asked, she was re-asking her own version of the question. But he said, are you okay with, abortion up to late term? What about 5 minutes before it's due? Are you okay with that?
The baby starts to crown. He's coming out of the womb, and you can see the crown of the head. He's starting to crown. Can you kill it then?
Well, some even pro-choicers may argue, well, once you pass that imaginary plane.
I have heard it argued that there's a 24-hour period.
Well, if
after birth.
Anybody says 24-hour, and I've actually heard an argument, obviously not a popular argument, but
up until they're cognitive.
Yeah, the consciousness. And there's a movement, very, very small movement, that children do not get their consciousness until like 3-4 years old.
I see it, my boy, right now at 14 months.
Okay.
I ask him to go get something, and he'll go get it.
Okay, well, there's an argument. And I'll tell you where the argument comes from. Like, my daughter, myself personally, I don't remember anything before 3 years old, except for maybe very, very, like,
obscure.
1 or 2.
Right.
1 or 2 really obscure memories. And I always wondered, why is that? How come I can remember things so vividly from 6 years old, 5 years old, but not 3 years old? And then my daughter, she's growing up. She's 1, 2, 3 years old. And I would quiz her on things that happened earlier in the week, earlier in the month. And she would remember them. And I'm like, okay, she remembers this stuff. How come I can't remember when I was her age? All of a sudden, she gets to be about 6 years old, 7 years old. Suddenly, out of nowhere, she couldn't remember things that she did when she was 3 years old. So there's like this thing that happens in the brain. Clearly, there's like a switch that just goes whoosh, like.
That's funny you say that. When we were in L.A., I would take my daughters on a bike ride at 3 and 4 years old. We would literally go on a bike ride every single day for almost a 6 to 7 month stretch.
Okay.
It was every day, and we would bike ride for a long. I would take them on the train, and we'd go down to the beach and bike on the beach. I mean, it was a full adventure.
Okay.
And the whole time we were like, "Hey, Daddy, we're going to go on an adventure today." I'm like, "Yeah, what are we going to do?" Bike ride to the beach. I mean, it was just
so like you were doing this a lot.
Every day.
Okay.
Kara is now 6.
Okay.
So it was only 3 years ago.
It's amazing.
She has no memory of it.
That's weird.
None.
Well, when we were kids,
I had to hold myself back because I took it personal.
Yeah,
it was upsetting because it was so emotional that time.
And it's weird now that we're older. It's so weird because when we were kids, when you were 6 years old and you had to think back of something when you were 3, that was half of a life ago.
Oh, yeah.
So at us being 40,
What? Whoa.
that would be like us looking back to when we were
15.
20. Oh, 15. right. And we do remember those events, but it seems like a lifetime ago. Well, when you're 6, remembering back 3 was a lifetime ago. However, there's definitely a switch, because here we are as adults and we look at somebody who's 6 and we're like, how do you not remember what happened 3 years ago? I remember everything that happened 3 years ago.
Right.
And here you are, you're 6 and zero memory whatsoever of something and you shouldn't take it personally, because I think it's universal. So the point of our story, though, is that there are liberals out there that look at that big master switch that flips over
You gotta wait.
as the threshold
Yeah.
that you can murder your child. Like, well, they haven't gotten to that consciousness level yet.
Well, I mean, if you're Muslim, you can murder your child
At any age. There's honor killings and stuff like that. Because the main thing about a Muslim, which is very important, is you don't want... the most important thing is you don't want to be insulted. And if you are insulted, justice can only be achieved when you murder the person who insulted you, especially if it is a child. You must be able to murder your child if they insulted you. And the biggest insult, obviously, would be like, I don't know, premarital sex or something like that if it's a daughter. And so honor killings, you got to kill them. Because it's an insult to you as a person.
Right.
If your daughter did that to you. And so that's why it's tongue-in-cheek, but yeah, that's what they believe.
Amazing. Amazing. I've got nothing for these people.
Well, the Uncle Tom's Cabin thing, a book written before the Civil War that is credited as being the story, the book that people bought. It was a bestseller at the time, published all around the country, where people who read it were like, "Oh, this is what's happening,"
to slaves.
And so it kind of led eventually. It didn't happen right away, but that Uncle Tom's Cabin was like that thing that spiraled into the Civil War. Well, I could back it up and say that spiraled into Abraham Lincoln being elected, which led to the secession and then the Civil War and all that kind of stuff. I'm hoping that this, maybe not this particular event, but the combination of what happened with the Kermit the Frog guy, Kermit, whatever, the guy that
Kermit Gosnell.
Yeah, Gosnell.
Kermit the Frog.
That's how I remember him now.
Yeah,
I'm not going to forget that name now. So Kermit Gosnell the Frog, and this woman that's in charge of Planned Parenthood, using it as a freaking body part factory. I think the combination of that and then more information will come out about what's really going on in these abortion mills is going to be that Uncle Tom's Cabin that spirals into finally the end of the American Holocaust. And 100 years from now, people are going to look back and be like, holy crap, what a bunch of barbarians.
Butchers.
And they're going to look back. They're going to blame us. They're going to say, because you know how, like Germans that had nothing to do with the Nazi Party are looked at to this day like, oh man, it's the Nazis. Heil, here comes the Nazis. And white people, we were born over 100 years, 115 years after slavery was abolished, and yet they're like, oh, a white male American, you must have owned slaves, you know. And I think that 100 years from now, people are going to look back and be like, ooh, Americans, man, they were the ones that were killing all those infants.
Right.
Even though I hope that our descendants 100 years from now...
Infanticide.
Yeah, infanticide. Yeah. It's an American Holocaust, flat out. But I'm just hoping that 100 years from now, our descendants can listen to this recording and know that, well, at least my ancestors were holding up the fight.
Because I thought Uncle Tom's Cabin was from Warrant, a song.
Oh, it is. It is. And it actually has nothing. I don't think it has anything to do with the book.
You don't think so?
What?
Whoops.
Press play on the old YouTube. Mr. Producer.
Good. where are we at? I think we're running down, but let me hit these real quick. President Obama cuts the prison sentence of 46 nonviolent drug offenders.
Oh, right. That's important to know because he did not do anything for the 4 prisoners who were held for no freaking reason by the terrorists in Iran.
These are 46, not 4, so 46. And he also, Jason Hernandez, the former inmate, says he feels like he's been reborn. I was practically a dead man walking. President Obama gave me my life back.
Well, here's what's happening.
I see him like a father now.
Of course.
Like any son, you want to make your father proud. That's my aim.
Well,
he had a
that's
life
cool.
sentence, and Obama commuted it.
Well, I mean, that's cool if he ends up making something of his life and all that, and I commend him for the effort. And if he does, then that's just great and whatever. But Yahoo came out with an article today. Don't have it in front of me, but I remember what it said. It was basically a propaganda piece, probably released by the administration to give to Yahoo to release as propaganda, explaining what in the heck he's doing with all these commutated sentences and pardons. And basically what it said is he's trying to pardon or commute sentences of those who are serving for crimes which today typically receive lower sentences. So, for instance, back in the 80s, they were really cracking down on drugs. So if you were busted as a drug dealer in the 80s, you could have gotten a life sentence or
Right.
40 years or 30 years or whatever.
In California, they have a 3 strikes rule.
Okay.
If you get 3 felonies, you're in for life.
There you go.
Doesn't matter what the felony is on the 3rd one. And I know a guy who was in possession, his 3rd strike, he was in possession of like crack cocaine or something like that and violated his probation, which caused another felony.
Which would have been 3rd.
3rd strike, he went up, life.
Oh, my God. That's just scary.
And I think he was in his late 20s, early 30s.
Well, the problem is that judges are not trusted to use common sense. I think that
that's why they have to have a 3 strikes rule, because you don't have judges that use, or the judges that are even voted in could be biased or liberal or.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that somebody who has a drug problem and is in possession of a drug, whether you're on probation or not, should end up in life in prison. My God, give them some rehab or something. There should be like a prison military style rehab center.
Oh, it is. It's out in Arizona.
Okay.
Sheriff Joe Pyle.
He has a rehab center?
Oh, my word.
Okay.
Tent City.
I think that's cool.
Tent City.
I mean, that's cool. I mean, get them rehabbed, even if it takes a couple of years. Keep them in there for a couple of years, keep them clean, and teach them how to, I don't know, rehab themselves, get off the drugs and all that. The life sentence thing, that's a little... But anyway, Yahoo came out with a propaganda piece to make sure that we all knew that what he was doing with all these pardons... I mean, the way it was worded, it's trying to get the public to be very receptive and accepting of all the coming pardons and commutations. And also, did you know that a pardon, I didn't know this, but a pardon will free you. Right. However, whatever you were convicted of stays on your record. I thought that was all deleted. It doesn't get expunged.
Okay.
However, if it's a felony that would prevent you from getting a firearm or voting, a pardon will allow you to do that, which is important. So when we get
you're voting!
Yes! So a couple 100,000 pardons may be in order for Obama.
Well, this part of my article was cut off, but I remember it being someone that's not famous, but someone that's fair. I think it was a football player's mom or somebody that's quasi-famous. Mm-hmm. Their mom was in prison for drug offense or whatever, and she was scheduled for a release in 2017. However, she'll be out November 10th. Obama pardoned her.
Pardoned or commuted?
Commuted. Pardon?
If you get your sentence commuted, that means that you get out, but everything stays. If you're a felon and you're not allowed to vote or buy a firearm, that stays. You're still not allowed to vote or get a firearm. Everything stays. You just get out. That's all that commutation does. Pardon.
Commuting the sentence.
Commuting the sentence. A pardon
lets you vote.
will let you do everything except, which is weird.
Take it off the record.
Yeah, which is weird because sometimes that's the big one. Because
Right.
if you're trying to get a job and you've been convicted of a felon and you've been pardoned for whatever reason, you still got to report that you're a felon, even though you're allowed to buy a firearm and you're allowed to vote.
Ran
Really weird.
across this article this week. Generation Unprepared.
Oh my goodness, we have a new generation.
They said that the majority of teens that they interviewed won't take a job if they can't use social media and text on their phone during the job.
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, these days there's probably not a whole heck of a lot. Yeah. I know when I call you at work, you generally don't.
What?
Generally
Whoa.
do not answer the phone.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, you don't. And it seems like the only time you do, it's for like a split second, and it's more like, I'm on a break, but I got to go back to work.
Yeah, so if anybody's listening that I work with,
Yeah, Brian does not answer the phone.
offended flea market shopper calls 911 over Confederate merchandise.
911, come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
Oh my God, he's got us bars and stars.
Obama landed in, forgive me, I don't remember the city or the state, but he landed somewhere and he was met by a parade of Confederate flags.
Really?
Yep. Also in Kenya, we reported this last week. If he shows up in Kenya, they're going to protest him from talking about gay marriage, by showing up nude.
Oh,
Nude.
geez, really?
There's hundreds of nudists that are showing up that are going to be there.
Oh my gosh, you got to be kidding me.
And see what? Oh, Defense Secretary Ash Carter said Monday that transgendered individuals from serving in the military. Oh my! We've got a caller. Oh, caller! This would be a call from.
Hello?
Yes, are you
Hello?
there?
Is this 911?
911. Yes, this is 911. What is your emergency?
Oh my God! I'm at the local flea market over here in West Hollywood, and there is somebody here with a Confederate flag on sale.
Stay calm.
I need you to send the SWAT team right away. Can you believe this?
Stay calm.
I thought this was illegal.
We've got them en route. Stay calm.
Please hurry. Please hurry.
We
Hurry.
will-
I mean, he's got like several of them, and they're like $5.
Don't let him out of your sight. We need to apprehend him as soon as we get there.
Somebody get him. I think he might be selling one right now. Get over here right away. Oh my gosh. Oh, I gotta go.
We will be there. Wow. And see, this is the lunacy that ensues when you get liberals going liberal. The lunacy never stops.
Oh my gosh, I am so glad that the cops are on their way to that swap meet in West Hollywood. Wow.
Defense Secretary Ash Carter said Monday that transgendered individuals from serving in the military, that policy's outdated.
Really?
And guess who agreed with him?
Oh no.
Jeb Bush.
Oh, really?
He said, I'm cool with that as long as that doesn't disrupt the morale.
Well, I mean, are you really surprised?
No, I'm not. Taxpayers spend $3.5 million to find out why 75% of lesbians are fat and obese.
What? Are you serious?
That's real.
Is that for real, though? I mean,
that is their
the
finding.
stat accurate?
That's their finding, and they were upset with the finding. So they spent $3.5 million to find out why the finding was.
Are you serious?
Dead serious. Serious as a heart attack.
Oh my gosh, that's so convoluted.
We'll end on a good one, a funny one. Well, not funny, but a good one. Did you hear about Rambo?
Sylvester Stallone or
Rambo: The Last Fight? Yeah, or Rambo. Sorry, Rambo: The Last Blood.
Oh, Last Blood. Because the first movie was not called Rambo; it was called First Blood.
Right. This one's called Last Blood.
Well, there was like part 4, like a couple of years ago.
Right.
So you're saying there's a part 5 now?
He's to fight ISIS.
Oh, okay.
Which I got fired up and I was excited. I was like, yeah!
Yeah, whatever.
Come to find out, it was a rumor.
Okay.
However,
he's kind of conservative, isn't he?
However, an independent spokesman said the rumor got so much traction that we're looking back into a script we had on the back burner.
That's a very interesting story. So they weren't thinking about it. Somebody's like, hey, there's a rumor. There's going to be another Rambo, and it's going to be fighting ISIS. And, of course, their initial reaction is, no, where's these rumors come from? And all of a sudden, they start getting emails and tweets and letters. And
by the way, we actually had something?
Yeah, because they're getting a lot of positive feedback. Right. Okay, I could see that. Right. So it's almost like a reverse way of how you get a movie going. Because
I think so.
Normally you would make a movie and then you would market it.
Right.
This is like the marketing causing a movie to be made.
The tail wagging the dog.
There you go. That's it.
With that, folks, get us on Facebook, find us on YouTube. Carrie's all over Twitter. Stay tuned because
we're all over the place for you.
Yes, sir.
With unfathomable power.
What kind of power?
Unfathomable. It's without fathom.